Hi there and welcome to this video review of the Hollyland Mars 400 HDMI and SDI wireless video transmission system. Now Hollyland have been kind enough to send me a unit for the purpose of testing, and I have actually reviewed their earlier unit, the Mars 300. So if you're interested in that, check the link in the description below. So in this video, I'll be talking about the key features of the 400S, as well as the functionality that they've added to this unit over their previous generation. So let's begin with what actually comes in the box. You get the two units, you get one receiver and one transmitter. You get a few accessories, a cold shoe mount, some other mounting options. You do actually get a power supply as well if you do want to power the unit, although this is really designed as a battery operated unit, and it runs off Sony NPF style batteries. It has a locking interface, which is always good to see on kit like this. So you do get a total of 5 aerials included. The units require 2 each, so it is nice to have a spare there. So once you've connected the aerials, installed the batteries, installed the HDMI cables, powered the units on, it's just a matter of the two units connecting and pairing to one another. And actually I found that they did this pretty much straight away. It takes about 10 or 15 seconds, but they auto paired. There was no need to go into the menus. The units do have 8 different channels, and the purpose of these 8 channels is just so you can operate on different frequencies if you are suffering from interference or poor signal. The name Hollyland Mars 400 indicates 400 feet, and that's what they rate it for in terms of connection. Now that's obviously line of sight, and I never really find line of sight to be all that useful. What I'm really more interested in is how it works in congested environments, in buildings with walls. And so I tested it on 3 different floors of my house, and it maintained that connection throughout, even when the transmitter and receiver were separated by 3 stories. Now, one thing that's really important when using wireless video systems is the amount of latency that they have. Hollyland quotes the latency at 0.1 seconds or 100 milliseconds. And I found this to be pretty much spot on. I connected the unit to a MacBook and then the receiver to a second monitor, and I was able to film both of these with a stopwatch. And as you can see here, the results show that there's about a 0.1 second difference between the two. Now, obviously the unit is designed to be connected to a camera, and depending on which camera you connect it to, you're going to experience the additional latency that the camera introduces on top of that 0.1 seconds of the unit. Now, I was using it with the Panasonic GH5, and as you can see here, the amount of latency is increased from that 0.1 seconds. And in terms of frames of latency added, you're looking at about an additional 10 frames. Obviously, depending on the usage scenario, latency can be acceptable, certainly for pieces to camera, for interviews, for anything that isn't super fast moving. This type of latency is very workable with. Now, the Mars 400S units that Hollyland sent me have the addition of SDI connections. Now, for a lot of people, these won't be particularly useful, but if you are using professional video cameras that have SDI connections and you're wanting to connect via this, then it's a great option to have. Now, one of the big upgrades that the 400 series has over the 300 is the ability to connect to multiple receivers. Now, you receive one transmitter and one receiver in the box, but you can add in extra receivers if you want to send a signal to up to 2 monitors. Where the 400 really comes into its own is that it also transmits a signal over Wi-Fi, and with the Hollyland app that's available for iOS and Android, you can actually connect it to a mobile device as well. And I was quite impressed by this. It took me a few moments to set it up, but the app worked pretty well. It gives you the option to scan by QR code, but this is pretty clunky. And what you actually are better off doing is putting in the serial number of the unit, which is the number that's displayed across the front of the unit. Once you've done that, you need to put in the default password, which is 12345678. And then once connected, you can view your camera signal up to 1080p on your mobile device. And they've even included a few useful tools within the mobile app, such as histogram, peaking, waveforms, false colors. So this really is a useful function. Quite a few times I've set up my camera position and I may be tweaking lights, moving around set, and I just want to have a look at the picture and I've always got a phone with me. The fact that I can connect that and view what's being transmitted from the camera wherever I'm standing on my own mobile device is a really powerful feature. So overall, the Hollyland Mars 400 is a considerable upgrade over their previous generation, the Mars 300. I've had a lot of fun using it, and that functionality of being able to connect to multiple receivers, and especially that mobile device, makes this unit a substantial upgrade over their previous generation. Hopefully you found this video useful. If you've got any questions or comments, please drop them below. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.